Hello again, everyone. In our last compendium clip, we began to consider the mystery of creation. And in this episode, I'd like to continue our consideration, this time looking at what God created. In the Nicene Creed, we profess that God is the maker of heaven and earth, of all things visible and invisible. In this part of the Creed, the visible refers to both humanity and the whole universe, whereas the invisible, which is the part I'd like to focus on, refers to spiritual and immortal beings, most commonly known as angels. So first, let's look into what angels really are, so that we can have a right understanding of their nature, as well as their activity. Angels are incorporeal beings, meaning they're not made of matter, they don't have a body. Rather, they're purely spiritual, but also personal creatures, and as such are immortal and have intelligence and will. Indeed, the perfections of their being, of their intelligence, and of their power far surpass anything in the visible world, as the Scriptures so often bear witness. As for their activity, the holy angels are great servants of God, and their work consists first in contemplating and glorifying God. Jesus said that they always behold the face of my Father who is in heaven. But angels also work for God as messengers of his saving plan. Indeed, the word angel means messenger, or one that announces. Their work, then, of announcing salvation and leading humanity to it has occurred throughout the history of salvation. For example, in the Old Testament, when God led his people through the desert wilderness to the Promised Land, he said, "Behold, I send an angel before you, to guard you on the way, and to bring you to the place which I have prepared." In the New Testament, too, we see the Archangel Gabriel announcing not only the birth of John the Baptist, but also of the Savior himself. These are just a few of the many examples we find in the Scriptures of the presence and work of angels. Yet angels are also very much present in the life of the Church. For example, Christians join them in adoring and worshiping God, ask for their assistance and protection in daily life, and commemorate some of them in the liturgy. In fact, throughout life, we're surrounded by the watchful care and intercession of what are called in the liturgy the guardian angels. Referring to these angels, St. Basil the Great in the 4th century said that, "Beside each believer stands an angel as protector and shepherd, leading him to life." Now God made all of these different spiritual creatures, or angels, from the beginning of creation, and he made all of them good. And yet some of the angels, through their own choice, fell away from God, making themselves evil, or making themselves demons, the root of which means to divide or separate. And so, since we're focusing on the invisible part of God's creation, we need to spend a little time considering the devil, or Satan, and the other angels who separated themselves from God. In the New Testament, the second letter of Peter refers to the sin and condemnation of these angels, who, by their free choice, completely and permanently rejected God and his reign. Indeed, Jesus called the devil, who was the leader of these angels, a murderer from the beginning, a liar, and the father of lies. Satan and the other devils' activity, then, consists in tempting the human race into their disobedience and rebellion against God. This was seen in the most serious of ways when the devil seduced our first parents into sin, a topic we'll consider later on. And yet, even though the devil and his angels have power to tempt man and lead him into various evils, their power is limited, because they're only creatures, and they cannot prevent the building up of God's kingdom. Above all, though, it needs to be remembered that Jesus conquered the devil, or as St. John the Evangelist said, "The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil." Finally, to summarize, the invisible part of God's creation consists of angels, who are purely spiritual beings, endowed with an intellect and will which far surpass that of the human person. All of the angels were created naturally good. As for the activity of the holy angels, their work is to contemplate the mystery of God and serve Him in leading humanity to salvation. Satan and the devils are those angels who permanently rejected God and who seek to tempt humanity into their disobedience, and who were conquered by Jesus Christ. In our next episode, we'll continue to look at what God created, this time considering the most important part of God's visible creation, that is, humanity. So until then, may God's holy angels always protect you and guide you, and may God bless you.